Okay, so we're going to look at number 12 on practice test 1. So this is from chapter 2 in our stat section, and this is going to be about a dot plot. So I wrote some information here. I'll go over in just a second just to add a few things to it. So the accompanying dot plots, they're down here. So this is what we start with. The accompanying dot plots show the number of calories in a sample of cereals from two manufacturers, K and G. So we're first going to compare the center and spread for each dot plot, and then based on this sample, cereals from which manufacturer tend to have more variation in calories. So let's go down. So dot plots we use for numerical data. The center is the typical value. It can also be the peak, and the variation is the horizontal spread. So for the center, if we look at it, I would say the center for K, it would be 110, and the center for G also. Now I reframed K underneath it using the exact same size scale, because I thought it was easier to kind of see variation when you put them on the same scale. That was kind of like a trick question in my mind, because if you look at it, like right here, oh, that's your eraser. So if we look at K right here, like 90 starts here and it goes to 150. That was this whole scale above. So I went ahead and just brought it down and made K in the red below. Okay. So K is now this red one. We'll just use these two if that's okay with you. So manufacturer G is going to be my blue up here. I'm actually going to use the other one. So that's going to be my manufacturer G, and my manufacturer K will be right here in the red. Okay. So if I want to talk about the center, to me, they look like the center is relatively the same. The center would be about 110 for both. So I think the center of these two, that's going to be my center. So the center is basically the same. Center looks essentially the same. Okay, so I would say the center is about the same. All right. But what I would say, when we look at the variation between them, look at the spread, which one of these has a larger spread? What do you all think? I'm going to say, and that's why I reframed it like I mentioned before, obviously G has a much larger spread, right? That's not the full spread. G actually goes from 60 to 160. So its spread will be about 100. Whereas here, this one really goes from 80 to what? 140. So it's about 60. So definitely G has a greater spread, and that also indicates that G has more variability, right? So let's go up to the top and put all this together. So we want to first compare center and spread, which we did. So both manufacturers have a similar center. So that's what we said, right? Okay. And then so we're good with that. So we'll kind of get rid of these two. Oh. Let me do this, get rid of this one and this one. And then the spread for manufacturer G is greater. So that's what we said, right? G was wider, so G is greater than the spread for manufacturer K. So I know it kind of cuts off, but that would be the choice A. Okay, and then down here. So if G has a greater spread, then that means G has more variation. So cereals from manufacturer G have more variation in calories. So we know that's the first part we want. Let's get rid of our Ks. And why? It's not because of the peak. The peak is the central tendency, right? So it's not that. It's going to be that because the spread of manufacturer, oh, wrong one. I was like, wait, that's not right. Because the spread of manufacturer G, I was crossing the one. There we go. So this whole thing was out. So now we're comparing these two sentences, the spread of G or the peak of G. Well, it's not the peak. It's going to be the spread of G. So cereals from G have more variation because the spread of G is greater. So that would be part B for that. And that's number 12. That's number 12 in our practice test. It's ID 2.1-2.7 if you want to refer back to the homework or the quiz or anything.